Hey, what is up guys, Spee here, and today we're going to be looking at a Monkey King game, but it's not going to be Monkey King focused whatsoever. What I really want to pay attention to, well, I guess slightly, but what I want to pay attention to in today's video is looking at a game that CCNC recently played, who is the Monkey King, and focusing on what is his objective for the game. So every single time you play a game of Dota, before it's starting, what you should be doing is trying to figure out or think about, you know, what is your purpose in the match? What do you actually have to do? What steps should you take to win the game of Dota 2? And so yeah, that's what I want to do in today's video. I want to get inside the head of CCNC to the best of my ability, see what he does as the Monkey King, and explain why he does it, right? Because a lot of players, they can watch a replay and say, oh, he casted Boundless, oh, he casted his spells. But I want to see, why does he cast his spells in that certain way? Why does he go on Enigma, right? Why does he do certain things? And really look at it from the perspective of matchups, right? Look at his own heroes, say, oh, should he be greedy, should he not? And look at what heroes he can shut down. So let's get into it. I know that was a long intro. Hopefully you guys are excited though. It's something more complex, more advanced than I usually do. But yeah, I hope you guys receive it well. If you enjoy this type of advanced content, smashing the like button would really help. Absolutely smashing it. It's down below. And yeah, let's get right into it. Also, there's another link next to the description. If you click it, you're gonna get sent somewhere on the internet. It's really cool. I post a lot of content over there. Recently, I made a video talking about Chris Luck's Slark. It was a mid lane Slark where he absolutely popped off, and I'll be doing more content like that in the future. And I also just made a video also talking about how to play the new Monkey King. If you're trying to play the new Monkey King and you feel like this hero is trashed, and now that the Echo Saber doesn't work, and I don't know why, but it doesn't work, you should go check it out on the website. I talk about the new build that Royoya went. I think it's the optimal way to play the hero. I go in depth about how to just play this new Monkey King, right? What do you need to look for? How much do you farm? How much do you fight? And yeah, I'll hopefully see you guys there. First things first, let's look at the overall team comps as he bullies Royoya in the mid lane, who is the stand-in for EG as of late. What we see is that he has an Ursa, a Phoenix, a Sand King, and Rubik as his team. Now, a lot of players will look at this and they'd say, okay, well, he is no scaling hero. However, if you've been paying attention to the recent meta, you would know that Ursa is actually one of the better scaling heroes in Dota and actually can hit a very strong minute 20 to 30 timing with his Battle Fury plus 1 or 2 items. So keeping that in mind, what CCNC can do is be some sort of an in-between role or in-between item build that allows him to hit a very strong timing from the 20 to 30 minute mark in synergy with the Ursa, and we'll see that come into play later on. On top of that, we're going to note that he can make plays with really any of us other 3 heroes, and that's important to note. Anytime you're playing a hero in Dota, you should say, who can I make plays with? Who allows me to get kills on the map? So any sort of stun with Monkey King makes his life 10 times easier. That's pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of players don't really think about this before the game. They don't make a plan around this. They're just like, yeah, it's good, and then nothing happens. It's not only acknowledging it, it's also taking action around it. So the next thing I want to point out is a very cool adjustment. Number 1, he has Tree Dance before he has maxed out his E and his Q. Now this is relatively common, but it's an important thing to note. Why? Because he wants to make rotations this game. Of course he can. There's a very immobile Chen, right? He can get on top of Chen easily. He can get on top of Enigma easily. Wind Ranger is not too easy. In the early game though, Wind Run only lasts for 3 seconds, so you still can get on top of her. And even the Juggernaut. Monkey King does fairly well against Jug in the early game. So having the Tree Dance is going to allow you to close the gap, and that's exactly what he's trying to do. That's why he has a Boots and an Orb of Venom that he also bought for the laning stage. On top of that, we're going to see his first TP of the game. Now, why does he TP here, guys? Let's think about this. Why does he TP? A lot of players they'd be confused about this TP. Especially considering, you know, often what I say in my videos is wait for dives, right? Wait for dives before rotating. However, his job this game is to enable the Ursa, right? That's their major win condition from minute 20 to minute 30. Also, what we see is a very low HP Ursa and a very low HP Phoenix. And Void Spirit has been off the map for quite a bit of time. So counting all these things up, what we can tell ourselves is that they're likely going to make a play onto the Phoenix and onto the Ursa. And CCNC, being the very smart player that he is, says, okay, I've taken a point in Tree Dance, which enables me to take this fight. So he has the point in Tree Dance, he even has his Phase Boots timing, which is absolutely massive. And now, because of that, he can actually start the battle. So he starts off by trying to get Jingo onto the Void Spirit, couldn't get it right away, so he has to disengage a little bit. Now you might say, Speed, that looked terrible. Well, he didn't know exactly where the Void Spirit was. And it didn't work out exactly as he wanted. But you can see the thought process going in. And I wanted to show you guys this clip because it kind of proves that, hey, pros don't know exactly how everything's going to go, but they have a really good guesstimation that allows them to play properly. Next up, let's talk about the next 2 items that he buys. And I know I say this a lot, guys, but he buys a Wand and a Clarity, which we'll see in a second. However, before the Wand and Clarity comes out, what I want to point out is that he's starting to jungle a couple of camps. So he made that rotation. Two things come out of this rotation, guys. Actually, two of the most important things in Dota. Number one, his Ursa can take mid. Why is that a big deal? Why is that a big deal? Because the Void Spirit is a hero that wants to roam. Also, CCNC did a good job of shutting him down in laning stage, and therefore the Ursa actually can lane mid. Right? He can lane mid. Does Ursa really want to lane in the safe lane where they can collapse on him very easily? Especially with a black hole? No, he doesn't. Absolutely not. So instead, they can have the high-leveled CCNC Monkey King, who can jungle, with his maxed out Boundless Strike, do it. That's number one. In fact, over on the gameleap website, which I recommend you guys go sign up for right now, I did a video talking about an ancient level SF, and he had a Medusa safe lane, and the Medusa got stuck in the safe lane for 15 minutes straight, and then the Medusa had no farm. And because of that, the only farmed hero was the SF, the mid laner. But the problem was, he was the space creator. So guys, if you're a space creator and you have a greedy core having a tough lane or a tough matchup, consider creating space in a side lane, farm in that area, and even consider jungling, right? Remember guys, getting jungle items is actually a big part of current Dota. You see shipping out clarities, he's going to commit his Boundless Strike, he gets Royal Jelly for his team, and that's how you want to approach this patch. I wish more players looked at Dota like this right now, and it's why I love this replay so much. He ganks bottom, trying to create space for his Ursa, he gives mid to the Ursa, which is a significantly better lane to farm as you're constantly next to your tower, and most importantly, he jungles after the 7-minute mark to enable his team with the Royal Jelly. Obviously you can see he gives one to the Ursa. Ursa loves mana regen and HP regen, specifically mana, and one to himself, as he also wants to farm at the HP and mana regen. And that's just a huge deal, and really guys, hopefully you can start putting that into your own games as well. And the next thing we're going to point out is this really advanced lane swap that they have. But you guys might be saying, Speed, I can't do this in my pub, no one talks. You can talk. You can talk. Just tell your safe laner, hey man, I see that you're having a hard time. Obviously you don't have to make this a whole story, guys. You don't have to, be Shakespeare. You just say, hey, you can take mid if you're feeling pressured, I'll lane bottom. Just say that, and then shift the bottom. Half the time they'll be like, yay, I can't believe someone's trying to get me farm. Just make it seem like you're looking out for them, which is what you should be doing, right? Because your safe laner is going to be the one who carries the game in terms of net worth, right? Overall net worth. They should be number one in a lot of games, and that's how you enable them, right? It doesn't have to be by constantly ganking their lane. It just can literally be by giving them mid, and because of that, with CCNC's stat-based item build, he can just kill off the Eidolons. It's not even the pure fact that, the Ursa needs mid. This is also just a great matchup for an over-leveled Monkey King. He can straight up ruin the Enigma's game. All of a sudden, this Enigma, who's just popping off against the Ursa, can't even spawn Eidolons. Now, Enigma has no game. So now Enigma has no game, the Ursa's farming mid, and this is what we call impact. This is what we call impact that most players simply cannot see because it is very advanced. But hopefully, I've opened up your eyes a little bit. On top of that, we can see that the Wind Ranger has shifted over towards the mid lane. The Void Spirit is going pretty aggressive on the Ursa. After all, he is a relatively high-leveled mid laner, but because of his rotation over to the mid lane, he once again protects the Ursa and shuts down the Void Spirit. And this is what we call great gameplay. This is stuff that even I, the mighty Speed, no, I'm kidding guys, obviously I'm not perfect. I'm not relatively close to perfect, but I wouldn't be able to make that heads up a rotation. But you can see he has a game plan. He understands what he has to do. He understands who he can shut down and who he needs to enable. He has made Ursa go from a trash game to a pretty dang good one. Not perfect, but with a Royal Jelly and now an Ocean Heart, my man's okay. Oh, and of course, right back after that, we're going to see him go bottom, guys, because, once again, you see his thought process? TP's bottom, we're going to see the glitched out tree. Gotta love that. Thank you, Valve. This has been in the game for at least a couple months now. But look, he goes immediately back to top, one-shots the Eidolons nearly, and goes on the Enigma. It's just so perfect. It really is so perfect. The enemy team is completely collapsing, and even though the Jug is having a free farm game, it's fine, right? Jug is going to farm regardless of what the Monkey King does, because if CCNC goes top, the Jug's just going to go bottom, and so on. Also, they can have the Ursa to pressure to Jug as well. Ursa's actually pretty good against Jug, as long as Ursa has a bit of farm, right? The Jug is very overleveled, so it's a bit tough, but as you can see, the Ursa's even running at the Jug now. The Jug's not trying to turn because he understands that is not a Jug-favored matchup, especially within the early game. So, yeah, just perfectly played by these games, and that's why these players are high MMR. It's not necessarily the exact way they cast their spells. You know, that's important. There's a relative amount of mechanics that you have to have, but it's also how you play matchups, right? Understanding where you can farm, when you can farm, and how you play around that. And finally, I want to put an emphasis on how CCNC actually protects the mid lane. He almost seems like he's like the guardian of the mid lane. So Sand King is getting gone on here, and he instantly starts shifting over to mid And this is really because he wants to keep the mid tower alive. You see how the Chen's also shifting over to this area? It's because the mid tower is a high priority in these games. It gives you map control, it secures Roshan for later on, as it's a very important tower to TP to defend Rosh. You know, it really is just the best tower for TPing around the map in general. It's how you play fast in Dota. You TP to mid tier 1 and you kind of just can be anywhere. And now, of course, with his next good fight, he's going to shift over here. Obviously, his team is pretty ready to fight. I would say Sand King, Phoenix, and Rubik just need a bit of levels to come online. They have these levels. He instantly cancels the Black Hole. Great play. Goes for the ulti. The Sand King unfortunately stacked the stun, which was definitely the biggest misplay of the fight. Unfortunately, Sand King wasn't able to keep anyone in the ulti. Generally, you do need a stun, but obviously he had to commit the Boundless to kill off the Enigma Black Hole, but he's able to build up Jingu, shifts over, the egg goes off, even Rubik stole Black Hole, and they end up winning the fight. He tips up the Rubik because PMA is everything, and yeah, now they're in a position to win the game. You're also going to see a great transition back to the mid lane. Right, and why is this? Well, it's because they actually want to start pressuring towards Roshan, so if you take the mid-tier 1 tower, you enable that. This is just such good high Momar gameplay. And one more time, guys, just to emphasize it before we move on towards around the 19-minute mark, I want to show that he clearly sees himself as the tower defender of this game. Could Sand King do it? Yeah, Sand King could. However, Sand King did go a Blink Dagger. Very often, if Sand Kings want to defend towers, they can go Blink and still do it, but very often you'll see them go Vanguard or Bracers, which he sort of has here, right? Has the Bracer, has the one. You see them go Hood, Vanguard, something like that. So, Sand King clearly doesn't have that. He's a little bit squishier. So instead, CCNC is going to TP bottom. He's going to go on the Enigma. Unfortunately, the tower already fell, so he obviously has to be very careful about this fight. In fact, he missed his Boundless, so, right? Pros are not perfect. Missed his Boundless. Does have a 21, though, so he can pop that. Even heals off the Eidolons a little bit. And now, after shifting around to the fight, makes a really good play with his E to dodge out the damage from the Void Spirit. Shifts around, finds the Wind Ranger in the trees, gets over to the Enigma, great chain stun comes out, secures that kill as well, and now they are going to win the game. The 3k ahead, he's creating infinite space for his Ursa, and yeah, that's the big reason why he also wants to defend towers this game. He wants to, once again, open up the map for his Ursa. Is it a dangerous thing to do in a lot of games? Yes, but he was so far ahead, his team was ready to fight, and then he commits suicide. Alright guys, I lied. Going a bit ahead here, we are at minute 16:30 though. And look what he does, right? Once again, back to the mid-tier 1 tower, and you're going to see how cool this is. So they take the mid-tier 1 tower. He sort of gets gone on, right? It even seems like he's baiting a little bit with the movement there. Balances up the Chen. They secured a kill with the new Deso build. You do an insane amount of damage with the Boundless, and he instantly pings Rosh. You see why CCNC is a rank 3 player, guys? You see why? Because he does not ever hit a bottom tier 1 tower. He does not hit the top tier 2 tower. He plays in areas where he can fight properly. He does not take fights under towers. He does not dive towers. The one time he did, he died. Right, guys? You can see it even happens in pro games. You know, I tell you to not dive towers because it doesn't work most of the time, especially in pubs. In pro games, you'll see them do it and it works. It's because they're synergized and they have timings and it's perfectly played. But in pubs, that just doesn't happen. So he takes the mid-tier 1 tower. Does he tell them to push the mid-tier 2 tower? Did he tell them to push the bottom tier 1 tower? No! Because that's not what you do! That's not what you do! You take Rosh. He has an Ursa. A Deso, go Rosh, and that's exactly what they do. They force the enemy team to shift over here. The Enigma gets baited into a bad fight. Obviously, you can see why, because he feels like he has to initiate. They don't have a frontliner, right? This guy can't do it. I mean, I guess he could, but it's rough. He can just get lifted once and die. And therefore, because they don't push a tower, Enigma can't get Black Hole off, and the fight ends. And I don't think that's what people, really people don't understand. They don't understand that the reason why fighting at towers is so bad is not because the tower does damage, primarily. You know, that's a part of it, but it's mainly because of the vision game. Because Enigma has to go in first, he gets lifted. If the Monkey King and his team pushed the tower, he would get a good Black Hole off, because they couldn't lift him as easily. And now this game is just about over. I know they're only 6k ahead, but you're going to see a perfectly played initiation by the Ursa. He knows exactly what he has to do, and this is where all the pieces come together, and you gotta love to see high Momar Dota in its great effect. The Ursa goes in first because he has the Aegis, which obviously comes from Roshan, so he doesn't have to be afraid. He solo kills the Enigma. The Chen dies to the Sand King ulti as well. The Boundless Strike sets up for the Shackle Shot from the Wind Ranger. They get the kill, and now they push the tier 2 tower. They didn't push the tier 2 tower and dive and get the kills. They took a fight around it. They started it in the jungle and slowly collapsed together. And that is how you fundamentally become a high Momar player. You understand your purpose in the game, right? You win your lane, you understand your purpose in the game, you enable your win condition, and you play around what you have to do. CCNC didn't do anything insane here, right? It's not like he had some god tier ulti. He only casted his ulti once. You don't have to hit a 5-man echo to become an immortal player, guys. But you have to have consistency in what matters, which is understanding your win condition, understanding your matchups, understanding who you can kill and who can kill you. And these are really the more important things about Dota. And notice how I never said once in this game, he has to hope his Ursa hits creeps. No, because even if his Ursa doesn't hit creeps this game, at least he'll do what his job is. And because he casted his spells well enough, and he understands what his matchups are, he's able to shut down the Enigma and win his lane, which requires no teamwork. And so yeah, thank you guys for watching. I know this video, I think it's on the shorter side, but I hope you enjoy. Obviously, this is something that maybe only feels like it applies to a very small minority of players, but I don't believe that at all. I think the information I provide in this video, I wish more people would take it into consideration and really start doing what I said. Like, a lot of people are going to hear this video, and then what's going to happen is they're going to forget it in the next day, or they're going to forget it in the next 2 hours. What you need to do is now, before your next game, you need to make your best guess at what your purpose is in the match. If it's to farm, hit a lot of creeps. If it's to be somewhere in between like CCNC was this game, do that. Right? Pick out who you can shut down. Maybe you say, oh, my Lycan has to lane against a Tidehunter and he's going to have our time, but I'm a Timbersaw. Okay, then I will go shift to the Tidehunter lane to give the Lycan mid farm. These are the type of things you can think about before the game even starts, which give you clarity and prevents you from having to do random stuff and random decision making during the game, which is frankly very difficult. And so yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed and like these type of videos. If you do, let me know. And I'll make more in the future, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! Before you leave, just want to say a quick message. If you're trying to get better at Dota or you just enjoyed that video, I know this is pretty general, and you're going to hear this quite a bit from me, but I recommend you sign up to gameleap.com. Why? Because I put a lot of effort into the content over there, and generally the effort I do there is different from the content you're going to see here on YouTube. It is different. In fact, I usually go a lot more in depth on topics or into niche topics that help you get to the next level even faster, because on YouTube, I often have to keep it more mainstream, and that's even why I'm putting it at the end of this YouTube video. That's why this is at the end, because a lot of people just watch 5 minutes, they skip through just for like the dopamine spike. But if you are interested in actually getting better at Dota, I recommend you go to the description down below, get your discount right now by clicking the link, sign up, use the discount code that you're gonna see there, and I hope to see you there right now, so click it, and yeah, thanks for watching.